G'day everyone and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Joey Wiggle Experience. It's great to have you all with us once again, and joining me is my co-host as usual, Moses Yakub. G'day Moses, welcome back to another great episode.
Great to be back once again, as usual.
As usual. And this is something we haven't had as usual because the guest we have is quite surprisingly, a lot of people may not know her name, but you will definitely recognize the voices without a doubt, especially if you've grown up in Australia in the 90s and the 2000s. Her voice has played such a massive role in our childhood. She is the voice of many, many characters, but one character in particular stands out as the most iconic and the most beloved, the little mischievous koala, Blinky Bill. Please welcome to the podcast the one and only and lovely Miss Robyn Moore. G'day, Robyn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Joey. Hello, Moses. Hello, everybody. And I suppose, where's Blinky? Is he under the table? Well, maybe we can just say that I'm his voice coach, okay?
Oh, yeah, I thought you'd forgotten all about me. G'day, everybody. I'm Blinky Bill, the mischievous koala, and it is so wonderful to be on this podcast. And I think you are all extraordinary.
Woo! He lives in part of my head.
My brain's going to explode. Oh, my God. That was amazing. Oh, my God, Robyn. That was so amazing.
We were not expecting that. That was awesome.
I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was really holding myself in. That's just one of the reasons why it's so iconic and so memorable. And I think obviously just from the reaction we got, you must be pretty used to that a lot.
I am. It's so touching. It's so moving. I never take that for granted, and I really appreciate that Yoram Gross, who asked me to create a voice for Blinky, gave me one of the greatest gifts on earth. Because I'm in touch emotionally and spiritually with millions of children all around Australia, and now I meet them as grown-ups when I'm speaking at conferences, and that's just. You cannot put words to that privilege. So we have lots of hugs all around Australia when I meet I call them my blinker-files. So you're my blinker-files, and you're now grown up, and look what you're doing.
I'm so glad to be a blinker-file. I've been one for 20 years.
Yeah, and you turned out really well.
Amen.
It sure did, Blinky. It sure did.
Yeah, I just met one of my blinker-files who I spoke at his conference, 3 years ago. It was a renewable energy conference, and he'd grown up with Blinky, and I just received an email today from him saying he started his own company, and he intends, with all the wind farms that he's developing, to create about 20% of New South Wales power in the future. And I went, far out, Brussels sprout, look what you're doing, It's just remarkable to meet, my blinker-files as teachers, as scientists and doctors, and, their mums and dads, and they're all over the place, farmers. And it's just gorgeous. So that was how it all started in 1992 when Yoram asked me to create the voice.
And that must have been, when you were coming up with the voice, because obviously Blinky Bill, even before the film that came out in 1992, he was already a well-known children's character from the 30s and 40s, written by the late Dorothy Wall. I hope I said that right.
Yes, indeed. And she sadly died penniless. She lived in Australia in the Blue Mountains and had a little boy, and she wrote the book for her little boy, who was about 5. And Blinky became the mascot for the Second World War. He was on stamps. He was a real hero in the literary world. But sadly, she didn't make anything, any money or an income from Blinky Bill. But Yoram bought the rights in, I think, 1980. And then because he had his own film studio, he changed the look of Blinky a little bit, made him a little bit cuter. And I'd been working with Yoram doing some of the Dot movies. I did about 6 of the Dot movies, not Dot and the Kangaroo, and then there were a few after that. But he wanted the little Dot they had to sound a little bit more like a tomboy so that they could increase the age range of the viewing public. And so I became Dot, and Dot was kind of feisty, you know, and she sort of knew what she was doing, and she sort of took command of things, and she saved animals and was an environmental, you know, a champion. And so we worked together, and one of the cartoons was Dot and the Bunny. And I used sort of that Blinky voice, you know, kind of, you know, I was a little bunny in that. And then Yoram said, oh, I really like that voice. Could you do that for Blinky? But he didn't know that voice, I changed it a little bit, made it a bit more feisty for Blinky. And he's based on one of the pupils I taught when I was a teacher. I had a little boy called Scott in my grade 4 class, and he'd say, Mrs. Moore, look at that bird's nest. And he'd take us on nature walks, and he was like a little Stevie Irwin, and he was just the spirit that I was after. So I've met with Scott recently. He's now 60, and told him that he was the inspiration. So I don't quite know what he thought of that. But,
It's like, imagine being the guy responsible for making millions of children around the world happy. Like
I
your character's based on you.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd like that, and he's a dad, and he's a beautiful dad. So yeah, I think inside he was chuffed. Yeah.
That's such a great story, and also, I mean, it is such a unique way of looking, because obviously when we talk to voice actors of how they come up with the voices, obviously they're all based on. Majority of them will always be based on a person or a figure, and like the world of, like, depending on what kind of influence, because I know you and Keith Scott as well, who I know you really enjoyed seeing him on the show as well.
Yes.
Because he when we chatted with him, he was just so generous, so kind, and also just a wonderful bloke.
Oh, he is so special. I say that Keith Scott is the other man in my life. I mean, I've been married to Hal, my husband, for 54 years, but Keith's the other man in my life. And Keith jokes that he's seen my voice undressed. Because we've worked together for 40 years, and he knows my real voice and what I can do with my voice and all those nuances. And we do lots and lots of things. We've done ads together over the years, and we've done a political satire show for 33 years called How Green Was My Cactus, which has been sending up the government. And it's the longest running radio series in Australia. And so we did all the politicians' voices. But to work alongside Keith, you know, and his voices in the Blinky show are so wonderful. I mean, my favourite character is Flap, you know, Flap the platypus. And he gave Flap the Daffy Duck voice with an Australian accent. And when the writers... Yeah, and when the writers first heard Keith doing that on all of the F sounds and the S sounds, the writers then wrote every F and S word they can think of every time Flap spoke, you know. So, and then the running gag started where Blinky would go, oh, Flap, you spat all over me, and you go, oh, sorry, you know, and all those
that's so good.
Happened, you know, in the show, and we knew you could almost hear the children of Australia laughing as we were recording. And there was a lovely gag. We must have done this 1,000 times, where Wombo, Keith played dear old Wombo to the wombat, and Blinky would say, "Oh, g'day, Wombo," and he'd go, "Don't call me Wombo," and Blinky would say, "Oh, sorry, Wombo."
we literally we did the same thing. We did the same thing. He did the Wombo voice, and he was like, "Don't call me Wombo," and then I was like, "Sure, Wombo." It was so fun. It's just he's, and we said to him, I think he's honestly he should honestly embrace the title. He should just be called Australia's Man of 1,000 Voices. Just the similarity of like Mel Blanc of having been a man of 1,000 voices, but it's like the difference is Keith Scott's the bloke from down under who can do the same thing.
He's the only person who's allowed to do the cartoon voices from Warner Brothers in the Southern Hemisphere. So isn't that? Yeah. So when
like most of them are really on point as well. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. No, he's absolutely brilliant, and he's an impressionist. So he uses resources like he goes back to the old actors and he studies their voices, and he's got a tremendous library at his home where he, as a little boy, studied voices. I'm more. I want to do an impression, a caricature, so that I look at the drawing of a voice, say, let me see, Cynthia Python. Well, because she's a python, then she's going to sort of be going, so I gave her a sort of a list, and they're the clues and the cues that I bring to my voices. I mean, Mrs. Rabbit, Mrs. Rabbit's got great big teeth, and she's introduced. So I made her a cockney, and I got thousands of babies. I got babies everywhere. So that's how I come up with the voices. I didn't go to a film star or something like that. It's going down two separate tunnels. But between the two of us, we just love working together, and our timing over 40 years has developed beautifully. So we're just in simpatico. And it's gorgeous. I know what he's thinking, and he knows what I'm thinking. And in fact, the first two series of Blinky Bill, what you hear on the show is sight read. We have never seen those words before. So there was no time in the studio to rehearse. We were given the script as we walked in, and off we went.
Yeah.
So that's how it operated, and that's what professionals do. We just
some of the
reading
characters
words
that you voiced on the show, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
And
there's Cynthia. You can see Cynthia around my neck, and Mrs. Rabbit and Marcia. Bow, zap. I've probably broken the microphone there. She her voice can strip paint off the wall. And and Miss Magpie. Oh, Blinky Bill, you're driving me insane. Now get out of my classroom. And Nutsy, I'm just the voice of sensibility, and I despair sometimes at Blinky Bill. Oh dear, but I love him.
Wow. Yeah. Fast forward. Sorry to jump in, Joe. Fast forward to 2000. Both you and Keith worked on two different projects. So Keith worked on the original work print of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. This was in You worked on The Magic Pudding, personally one of my favorite childhood movies growing up. And you got to work with a few people such as Hugo Weaving, Jeffrey Rush. What were the circumstances around that when you were doing the role of Henrietta? Henrietta Hedgehog.
Yes. Yes, I went into my chookdom because I'm a farm girl. So, the chooks and I have a great relationship. But sadly, I didn't meet any of the other stars. We were all recorded independently. So I just came in, did Henrietta, and then laid an egg and went home. Sadly, we don't often meet the other stars.
Not even at the premiere surely they would have had to meet.
No, I didn't get to the premiere. No,
Oh.
because Keith and I are in another arena as voice-over artists, so we're not used as celebrity voices. We're anonymous. Our little band of gypsies can go shopping in our Ugg boots, and nobody knows, which is a lovely advantage. But it's a lovely thing too to be able to just stand at the microphone and be many, many, many people instead of having to do a Hugo Weaving voice, or a voice that everybody's expecting to hear. We can be anybody we want to be.
Mm.
And, you know, and I gleaned that from being a little child growing up in the outback in Queensland. I was born in Tassie, in Hobart, but my dad was a stockman, drover, shearer, chef and wool baler. And so we lived on sheep and cattle stations way up in the Gulf country. And my friend was the wireless. We called radio the wireless in those days. And we had serials. We had Superman. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. And we just listened. In fact, I would put my head against the speaker and listen. So the vibrations through the speaker would go through my body. I was always drawn to the world of sound. And I see the world to this day through my ears.
So was that kind of like the early inspiration for you, Robyn? Because it's like, it's so interesting to hear, because everyone, obviously, when they grow up, they always intimidate voices that they hear around them, whether it's an animal or whether it's a person or, God, even a politician in power. But it's like, because obviously they're very easy to mimic and to mock and to, you know, just play around with the voices, even maybe come up with something new. For you personally, you just mentioned it was you being drawn to sound. So when you were growing up, obviously, because when we talk about people who were inspired as voice actors, for you personally, what were your earliest inspirations growing up in deciding, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do as a career.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I had a hero like Blinky, but my hero was a real person called Smokey Dawson. And Smokey Dawson was a cowboy on the wireless. And they had all these adventures, and every kid in Australia in the 1950s would listen to Smokey Dawson. But I had no idea it was a voice. He was an actor. I had no idea. He was real. And see, I meet adults now who confess to me that they loved Blinky so much they ran away from home when they were little to join his gang. Now, I don't know. I think that's the police at the door, yes, that they only went as far as next door or just down the road because they believed he was real. So for me, Smokey Dawson was real. It was only later on in life when my mum and dad took me to a live recording at the Theatre Royal in Hobart where I watched one of the shows, the radio show being recorded, that I realised, oh my goodness, they're people and they've got a microphone and that's being, you know, aired through this signal and then it reaches up. So I didn't understand that. So I had no dreams or aspirations to be a voiceover artist. I didn't even know for years that there was such a thing. But as fate would have it, I was just destined to become a voiceover artist. I trained as a teacher and I, you know, loved being a teacher. But in my first year out, I received a phone call from my old choir teacher at high school saying, oh, we've got the musical Oliver that's going to be produced in Hobart. Would you like to play the part of Nancy? And it's a beautiful, dramatic, you know, musical. And Nancy, the role of Nancy is absolutely wonderful. So I played Nancy. Now, the director was a lady called Di Drew, who went on to become a director at NIDA years later. But she said to me, have you ever thought of doing radio voices? And I said, no. And she said, well, look, I work in ABC Education in the daytime and we do all the educational programs for Australia from Hobart. And I said, do you? I listen to those shows. I didn't know they were produced here. And so she said, well, come and audition. And I'll never forget, on a Monday night, I stood in front of the microphone with a script and I opened this hole in my face and words came out. And I thought, oh, my God, this is a window to the world. This is radio. I love this. And that was where the bug hit me. So I taught for 5 years, but I was doing radio broadcasts at night on the ABC and writing scripts, educational scripts. And then 5 years along the track, I just had to go to Sydney because I just had to jump into this quest to become a voiceover artist. And so that's how it started. It wasn't a fait accompli. There were big gaps of my understanding of what voiceover people do. I didn't understand. And it came to me. It was thrust upon me. I was dragged into this world. So we've married up now, my love affair with this desire to make a difference to other people. So now I'm a storyteller as a speaker, and it's as though people are listening to the wireless, to the radio again. I start a story and you can see everybody's eyes glass over and they're in the story. So storytelling is a big part of my life.
I can tell it was a big part because of the way you spoke about it, but also it's just that's the beauty of it as well. Especially with voice acting. One thing I've noticed, especially as I got older, is that it was never just about trying to make them sound funny or sound like, because the Looney Tune characters, they're always funny. Like they're always like if you watch the cartoons from like the 40s and the 50s, I mean, yes, some of them obviously haven't aged as well, but the ones that are timeless, like there's a bunch of them that are still on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
They are so hilarious and funny because I think the whole idea is that you don't know if it's going to make you laugh. Because it's like, if you go into it and watch the whole thing, it's like, especially if there's an episode where like Elmer Fudd's hunting the wascally rabbit.
Yeah.
And then you've got Daffy Duck in the background. There's all these, and then all these things happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And then they'll always take it to the next level. Like they'll make one thing funny, and it's like they add more and more to it, and it's just it's like one of those things where it's real. It feels real, and I think that's the whole point of why these things feel funny. It's because they feel like they're real.
That's it. Look, there are people who do funny voices, but there's a distance. They're not connected to the character. Keith and I are the character. We become it. We embody it. And the lovely thing I learned from Keith, because I'd never worked with somebody who did voices and like Keith. I worked with a lot of lovely actors, but they were doing other things. They were radio announcers or other, had other professions in the background. But Keith is devoted to being a voiceover artist and a character actor. So I watched him work, and in cartoons, he doesn't just do the voice, he lands on top of the voice. So you listen sometimes to more modern cartoons and they're going, hey guys, what are we going to do today? And it's just flat, and it's not a committed, sentence.
I think I think they focus too much on I think they focus too much on casting celebrity voices than they do having a voice that sounds believable to the character, which I can understand to an extent, especially if you're trying to promote a movie. But the problem is, if there's someone with very little experience in voice acting, because that's the thing, I find acting and voice acting two very separate areas in the fields of the performing arts. Like, because there's actors, there's a whole bunch of brilliant actors, but they don't do a lot of voice acting roles because they don't have the right, like there's just not enough range. Like the ones who are doing voice acting have the range. They can do multiple different voices at the same time, even if it's like not as different as the previous one before. I find like when Keith Scott does his voices, I mean, it's the same person, but it's the same kind of style of voice acting. You just add a little bit of it's like you add a little bit of this and then you sound a little bit high, and then there's something a little bit lower. It's a different style of his voice. It's not even a different voice. Like, and that's why he was able to do so many impressions.
But you hear the energy though. You see, if I was just doing a performance, as you hear now when they use celebrities, it's, as I say, a flatness is present. So if I was doing Blinky, it'd be, well, let's go down the bush and find those dingoes. Well, when I'm doing it, it's like, well, let's go down the bush and we'll find those dingoes. So there's intention It's like I sort of feel that there's a physical thing going on where I'm grabbing at the air and the energy from around me in the environment and sticking it into the voice, so that it's like imploring people, the children, to come with me, gang. We'll sort this out. We'll teach those dingoes a lesson. And so that's the difference from the older style of voiceover, but it is disappearing. I'm noticing
that's what makes it sad.
We belong to an era, and hopefully it may come back. I don't know, but there is a real distinction now between that energy level and the energy level now with modern cartoons. But in Cactus, How Green Was My Cactus, the political satire, I mean, Keith Scott was astounding. I heard him do 3 different, 2 prime ministers talking to each other with the Prime Minister of Britain. And there were 3 of them. And I didn't have anything to say in the script. And Keith is just talking to himself. So he was being Blair, he was being Rudd, he was being somebody else.
I think he did John Howard as well. That was a good impression.
Howard, and they were all talking to each other.
He did. He also he did do Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and partially me at one point.
Yeah, he did an impression of Moses, which is amazing. We put the clip up on our social media. That's what I mean about Keith Scott's talent. He was able to impersonate one of our co-hosts.
That's so fun. And when he was doing the political characters, he makes them sound like the characters. When I was doing Julia Buzzard, our first Prime Minister, it was like moving for. I'm Julia Buzzard, and I'm no longer moving forward, creating an education revolution because my party thought I was popular as snot and a snorkel. But you miss me now, don't you? So, I mean, what I was relying on was her very broad vowels. So to get her voice, you have to go I, E, I, O, U. And then that gives you her voice. It's a very distinctive voice. Yeah, so, there's a whole lot of kind of physical things that go into creating a voice. I mean, we look weird. Don't film voiceover artists. We all look so weird when we're working because there's little things that we're doing to affect where the voice is produced and the energy levels. It's so good. It's like, Ma Dingo, Blinky Bill, come over here. And his mum, she was quite a gruff character, and Daisy Dingo was
she was a little bit tight too because she was sort of like really dumb, and
so everything you do has a physical expression as well as the vocal expression. So it's just the loveliest thing to be able to do. And I mean, I guess my 2 sons grew up with storytelling that was like that, and we had the best storytelling time at night. And it's no accident there, performers. I mean, my younger son's an award-winning architect, but he also does voiceovers in Melbourne. And Toby Leonard Moore, my older son, is quite a famous actor in New York City. So he was in Billions and John Wick and Blacklist and Bay of Fires. But he also does voiceovers because they too love the voice, and the spoken word.
They learn from the best too. They learn from the best, Robyn. They learn from the best.
We went to bed quite late because we kept reading the stories over and over again.
Oh, that would have been. You should definitely do. I was going to say you should definitely do more audiobooks and story. There's the Have you heard of the what's it called? I think it's called no, actually, it's not called Wish. I think it's Calm. That's what it's called, Calm. Yeah, I used to listen to the Calm audiobooks to help me get to sleep sometimes. Honestly, Blinky Bill as a storyteller would be absolutely top notch. I think it would send millions of people to sleep, especially when it's like really late at night.
Well, because he's not always shouting. I mean, and I use all different aspects of his voice when I'm doing recordings. I've done 20 years of recordings, when we're not being paid. So we stopped, being paid 20 years ago. But anybody who asks for, a message, I'll do it. So I left a message for a school in outback Queensland, and they'd had some really hard things going on there. And I was saying,
Listen, I've been told by your principal that he thinks you are all extraordinary. So every day when you wake up, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and you got to whisper, I am extraordinary. Will you promise you'll do that? Oh, I hope you're all nodding. Anyway, I better go now, so I'll see you later, alligator. Bye-bye. I'm still here.
and I sent this message, and the principal wrote back and he said, oh, look, it's just made such a difference. All the children are saying they're extraordinary. And he said, the only problem is we had to lower the mirrors. He said, because I found a grade 2 boy lifting up a kindergarten girl in the toilets so that she could whisper in the mirror, I am extraordinary. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
So, that tenderness and Blinky too is there, as well as the, that really loud, feisty, adventurous kind of tone in his voice. So it's just this beautiful world, we get to play in with all those emotions. So we're all very privileged, all of us who do this, because we're actually not just speaking into somebody's face, we're entering into their soul and getting right into all their little cells, and I know, because when I'm at a conference and I say, this may surprise you, but I might have babysat some of you. And they'll go, what? What's this old woman talking about? And then I'll do Blinky's voice, and you should see the audience. There's people fanning themselves, some are crying, some grab their chests, and it moves me to talk about it. That you just went into their soul. So lovely. Yeah, that's why I keep the numbers up.
Yeah, that's the most rewarding thing too. When you touch their soul and heart the way you do, and also it doesn't even have to be shouting at all. That's what I love about Blinky's voice. It's like he said, you don't even have to shout or raise your voice to understand the character. That's what makes him so lovable and just so amazing to listen to. And also just the other characters too. I think that's what a very talented voice actresses are good at, is that they can do the voices and not have to scream into the microphone or yell. I find the best ones can just do it naturally and quietly.
Well, if I'm doing a message, if I ring suicidal teenagers, and I rang one little boy who'd been sexually assaulted, and his mum, his auntie said, he says he just wants to be a little boy again, and he loved Blinky Bill. And so I rang him for about half an hour as Blinky, and I was out in a car park. It was 0 degrees in South Australia, and I spoke to him as Blinky until I could hear he didn't feel dirty anymore. And that was really soft, and saying, I'm so sorry. Things are so hard for you. But, everybody in Green Patch is thinking of you. And our gang will always be there, and just pump all those messages into him. I rang a little autistic boy recently in Launceston, and his teacher noticed that when he was having an episode, and he'd draw Blinky Bill, and that was his little go-to, his little touchstone to regulate his behaviour. And he was in a hoodie, he wouldn't talk to anybody. So I sent him a 2-minute message on the teacher's phone. And she rang back the next day and she said, oh my God, all the teachers are in tears. She said, he's pulled the hoodie down, he's talking, he's smiling. She said, I wrote him a letter too with Blinky's photo on it. And she said, he's clutching the letter and saying, it's like he's got a Willy Wonka golden ticket and he's holding it to his chest. So the sphere, the spectrum, where this little character can impact the lives of children. In fact, I put together a folder for Yoram and Sandra Gross, the people who I thank for giving me this opportunity. I put photos of children on the phone to Blinky that parents had sent me, and I put letters, copies of letters I'd written to children, and I did stories. And I've got a letter in my little keepsake box that I'll treasure forever. And Yoram and Sandra wrote back and said they sat up in bed and they read the folder from cover to cover, and then they wept. Because they got the power that they'd given, via me, to the children of Australia, and to children in need, children whose parents had broken up. I rang one little boy, Sam, for 2 years as Blinky Bill. His dad was one of my clients, and his marriage had broken up, and Sam had a broken heart. And I knew what that was like because my parents split up too. So I started to ring him as Blinky, and I'd get texts from his dad saying, "Dear Blinky, please ring Sam, he's having a bad day." Well, one day I was on the Manly ferry with my 2 teenage sons, and I said, oh guys, I just got to do a Blinky phone call for this little boy. And they went, "Oh God, here goes Mum again," And so I'm going,
G'day, Sam. It's Blinky Bill here. I'm whispering because I'm on the Manly ferry. And if anybody sees me, well, they might catch me and put me in the Taronga Park Zoo.
So I was having this conversation so that the other passengers wouldn't think I was a loony and be taken away to the police. So I've got so many encounters where, I've been hiding at airports, or I remember one day a parent texted me, "Could you ring my child? They really need a message from Blinky." And I was in the Qantas lounge and my plane was just about to take off and I had to leave the lounge, and I thought, I'll just have to do it here. And so I was in one of those little booths and I'm going,
"Oh, g'day, it's Blinky Bill here. And I'm so sorry things have been really hard at the moment, but, it will get better, and I'm going to ring you again tomorrow and the next day, and we're going to have some good times and some smiles and laughs on the phone."
And then I looked up, and all these customers or passengers at the Qantas lounge were all looking at me going, "Oh my God," and then hiding in their little booths, and nobody would come near me after that. But it just goes on and on and on, and it's so gorgeous.
They must have been, at least, I think they might have been in shock too. It's like, wait, is that Blinky Bill?
No, I really think they thought I needed a white straitjacket that day.
Oh, that's honestly. Can I just say, I was actually just the stories sound just so beautiful, and I think it's so humbling, and there's so much humanity in that. It actually, I'm not gonna lie, that actually nearly got me emotional. Just I nearly went into tears when you were talking about the phone calls you did for especially those who are really struggling. I think that's honestly the most rewarding part that I don't think any money could pay for ever.
No, it's worth trillions in meaning, and I'm national patron
in purpose.
Australia, so I've been granting wishes for over 30 years. And when we find a wish child that knows Blinky Bill, I can do that with them too. So, you can ring and say, "Guess what? I just heard that your wish is about to be granted." And, I rang one little girl for 5 years, little Sophie, and her mum, when she was having a sick day, she'd put on the Blinky Bill video and send me a text, "Dear Blinky, please ring Sophie. She's not well today." So it just goes on and on. It's lovely. And thank goodness, I've still got a strong voice, because sadly, as we get older, the voice can deteriorate. I'm 75 now and my voice is as strong as ever, touch wood. So, I'll do this until I can't do Blinky anymore. So there's many more phone calls to make yet.
Are you hoping to, because obviously when we talk about, passing the baton, because obviously it's one of the hardest things as a voice actor you can do, especially if someone who's done the voice before for a very long time has passed on, or they can't do it anymore. Because that was the case, obviously, with Mel Blanc, because he did all the voices for 50 years, and then it's then the day he died, and it's I couldn't even imagine being those voice actors having to take over the roles that that person originated and created and like made his own style for that long. I mean, I would imagine it would be the same because I would love for I hope I'm just going to say it on the show. I hope there is someone out there or anyone out there who can really do the voices, especially of Blinky, because we need Blinky in our lives more than ever. More than ever right now. More than, you know what? More than anything in today's world.
The world does they need the joy of that little optimist, you know, the little gung-ho, the unstoppable, the effervescent Blinky Bill. But, you know, I mean, yeah, he will keep on going as long as I keep on going. And Mel Blanc, his son actually continued on with the voices. So that's a lovely passing on of the gift, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and an actual gift, obviously. It's like father, like son, yeah.
Yeah. And Keith was
gift.
the one who could do the Southern Hemisphere, and I think it was Mel Blanc's son who did it in the Northern Hemisphere. So he didn't have to travel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I will keep the characters alive. I will nurse them. I will nurse you, Blinky.
Oh, thanks so much. You just look after yourself and stay well, won't you? Because I depend on you.
There's part of my brain that actually, I don't know what he's going to say next. I didn't know he was going to say that.
That's what I love so much about it. I think it's just a part of our brain. It's like we just don't know what they're going to say next.
I don't know what he's going to say. Oh, on the radio, on the ABC the other day, I said,
oh, if koalas behaved like a lot of human beings do, we'd all be stuffed.
And I went, Blinky, what? Oh, you're on the ABC.
That's so incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's just the beauty of I think not just voice acting but life. I think it gives people purpose when they give back to the community the way you have. I mean, that's just the most humbling kind of thing that a person can do, like to take something that they created years and years ago, know that they're not getting a single penny left anymore for the character, but yet still feel like there's purpose in life to give back to others who are in need, and especially families who are struggling. I mean, there's nothing that's more humbling, rewarding to the individuals who are getting it, and also to the individual like yourself, Robyn, giving back to communities like that. Like, it's so humbling.
It's a circle. I mean, it enriches me, you know, and it comes back 1,000-fold. I mean, I'll meet somebody who's a stranger. A lovely young woman came up one day at a Make-A-Wish event, and she said, I have to hug you. And she gave me a big hug. And she said, do you remember me? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't. And she said, oh, of course you wouldn't, because you rang me as Blinky Bill on the phone when I was suicidal. I didn't know what she looked like. And now she's a beautiful young woman. She said, I'm great now. I'm married. This is my husband. And life is fabulous. You know, and I just thought, wow. Yeah, it's lovely. You know, that's what that's why I love volunteerism, you know, because you get back 1,000 million times what you give. And Australians, you know, are great volunteers. We give, and you know, I'm an Australia Day ambassador, and we've got Australia Day coming up soon. And I'm going to be able to meet people in Cessnock, all of their local heroes. You know, some of them will have fostered 400 children. You know, there'll be people who are on 20 charities. I meet all of these unsung heroes and heroines, and nobody will know who they are, but they're out there with these big hearts and give. Why? Because they want to give. It's not so that they'll be seen to be good people. It's because they have goodness in them. You know, and we're getting more and more young people in Australia. You know, the people who are watching this, you know, put your hand up to volunteer, even if it's just one day a month or something. Go and help in a Vinnie's shop, unpack all of the clothes when they come in. And, you know, and imagine every time you touch a piece of clothing, there's somebody on the other end of that who needs this, or somebody who will buy this, and that money will go to somebody who needs this. outreach is absolutely vital, and you will grow your character. And, you grow your character when you give and when things are tough. So, there will be tough things that happen in people's lives. And that's the point where you stop, reflect, and go, yeah, this is really tough. Be sad if you need to be. But this is a point in your life where you get to grow your character. Am I going to be big? Am I going to be small? Am I going to be strong? And am I going to be weak? The Stoic philosophers had a lovely image that every pot has two handles. And one handle is really strong and you can pick the pot up with that handle, but the other handle is really weak and it breaks off. So in a situation, always ask yourself when it's challenging, which handle am I going to use to pick up the pot? And imagine it's a pot of boiling water. I'm going to pick it up with the strong handle, with my character, my strength, my best part of myself. I'm not going to pick it up with, giving up and blaming other people. That's a weak handle.
So absolutely.
It's a really powerful image. And I think Blinky lives that way. He never picks up the weak handle. He always picks up the strong one. Okay, gang, let's go. You can just
and like you said, like he doesn't blame anyone either. He doesn't blame anyone.
Mm-mm. And mateship is really important. And he's looking out for everybody else, which is also part of the Australian character. We give people a leg up. We always go out and help somebody who's needy. After the big floods about, 12, 14 years ago, there were 50,000 volunteers the next day who turned up to sweep up all the mud and pick up all the debris. 50,000. That's the country we live in.
We really care about each other, especially when, yes, there's obviously moments in our country at the moment that are pretty divisive, but not like America. It's not like American divided. It's like Australia is so united in so many ways. It's like, especially when something happens, like if there's a bushfire, if there's a flood, or if there's, lightning, whatever it is, we always find a way to come together as a community. Like all of us. Like it's not even like okay, some of us are going to come together in this area and some of us in this area. No, like we all get together. All of us.
Yep.
We're very united as a country.
That's right. And when these bad things challenge us, as they have at the present time, that's a big whack over the head with a big stick, to wake up, wake up, wake up. Don't lose what we've got. Reflect, come back together, choose again to be this country that we want to be, that united country where we help people, where we care, where we grow young people into beautiful, big, strong people. So that's what I care about.
Blinky's been doing that already. He's been.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, he's been helping everyone for the past 35 years. Extraordinary.
And the lovely thing is, I don't get any older.
Please don't get any older, Blinky, please.
Somebody asked how old is he, and I said, it was a little wish child, and I went,
oh, that's a really good question. Let me see, I'm 1, 2, 9, 73, 81, 4. Oh, I don't know how old I am. I can't count.
So I got around it that way.
That's cute.
Ageless. He's ageless.
Ageless, yeah.
Yeah. He's an idea.
An eternal child.
Yes,
the one we all wish to be.
Yes, and these things through a child's eyes. Yep. Yeah. With wonderment. I would say, larrikinism, wonderment, unstoppable mateship is very important to him. Loyalty. Yeah.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Oh, he's very loyal.
Characteristics.
Blinky is the most loyal, I think, character ever. He's so loyal.
Yes.
Like, yes, he's a mischievous koala at times, but he's a very loyal character.
Yes. And I mean, we're losing that larrikin, taking the mickey. Now everything is so PC. So that's a part of our humour that we are losing. So, I mean, if I joke about my age, when I'm working at a school, and I say, look, I'm so old I could drop dead any minute, and young people will come and say, oh, you shouldn't joke about your age because age is beautiful, and I say, look, I'm so sorry, my age group thinks that's really fun to say that, that we're so sensitive now. So I think Blinky is the holder of that lovely, lovely freedom to just take the mickey out on people, and the people you most oh, what would you know? And then you go, oh, I love you. Yes. So it's very special.
It's very special. I think, I like you said, I think people need to just, we need more of that larrikin kind of characters and on TV more than ever, especially in because we don't have a lot of it, obviously, especially with all the protests and everything. Everyone's very on edge about what are we supposed to laugh at, what are we supposed to I think the whole point is it's not supposed to be taken seriously, especially if it's like a TV show or a character. If Blinky came back today, I'm sure, I mean, I'm going to be real, I'm sure he would be fine. He's just too lovable and too iconic to even there's no way in hell that Blinky Bill would ever get cancelled. I highly doubt it. There's no way. I don't think anyone would have the heart to do
Not
that.
at all, no.
No one would have the heart. All the balls.
Well, I remember arguing with Yoram once in the script. He was saying, shut up to Miss Magpie. And I stopped the recording and I said, look, Yoram, I'm sorry. I'm a teacher. And I cannot read this line. I will not have Blinky Bill say, shut up to Miss Magpie. That's really disrespectful and it's teaching the Australian children the wrong message. And then Yoram said, but he's a koala. And I said, oh.
Yeah, but he's not a dumb koala.
So I was, bringing the human trait. Anyway. It obviously resonated for Yoram because a few episodes afterwards, I picked up the script and it was the episode where Miss Magpie, she spits the dummy and she says, oh, I've had enough of you, Blinky Bill. You're just incorrigible. I'm walking out of here. You can find another teacher. Goodbye. And she walks out. And everybody goes, yay, no school today and all of that. And then suddenly they realise they've really got to go to school and they can't find a teacher. So Blinky has to be the teacher. And everybody mucks up and they're throwing things at him and he's going, oh, I can't settle down, class. Oh, crikey, it's really hard being a teacher. I might have to apologise to Miss Magpie and get her back here. So he does. He has to go and apologise and he brings Miss Magpie back. So that he was redeemed in that way. So that was good.
I think that's the important lessons as well. I think that's what I like about Blinky Bill is that it gives kids those lessons. It might be fun. It's fun to do that to the teachers, I think. But also, once you experience what they've gone through or what any other people have gone through, then you kind of think, maybe I'm a little bit too rough on that.
Yes,
I think that's what Blinky Bill's good at. I think it does that without even letting the audience know that he's doing that.
Yep, he does. He has to fall over several times. He has to learn the lesson the hard way and then, rejig the whole way forward, pick up the strong handle and move into being a leader again, of the gang. So there's lovely lessons in Blinky. Blinky's not owned now by Australia, so it's owned by a Belgian company. So I don't know whether there'll ever be any more of the Yoram version of Blinky Bills.
I think that's. I was going to say I hope there's someone out there who is making this something like that as a side project and gets in contact with you and Keith, because honestly, to just hear these characters, just to hear them again, would have so much purpose, nostalgia, and just just straight up emotion. Like, I would probably cry if I saw you and Keith reunite once again to do these characters for any kind of project.
It would be lovely. I did a CD for Christmas once. It's called Blinky Bill's Christmas Sing Along, and I think it sold 3 copies. Because
don't worry, it's on my channel, so people can see it all the time. I wanted to help bring Blinky back in the international spotlight.
Oh well, you can easily put it on. It's out there somewhere. But it was such a joy. I wrote the whole thing and had it finished in 1 month. And to bring Keith in and have all of the mad songs. There's just some beautiful songs on there. I've got the traditional carols, but I've also written, Sleepin' Peepin' Lullaby, where Blinky's just so excited he can't get to sleep on Christmas Eve, so he calls it Sleepin' Peepin' or Peepin' Sleepin'. And then there's there's a beautiful song where he's, how at the end of Christmas lunch everybody goes to sleep. So Green Patch, they all have their great Christmas lunch, and they're all full, and all you can hear is, and everybody's snoring, and Blinky wants to play, and he wants some fun, and so he goes up to Wombo and he goes, "Hey, Wombo, wake up!" And then he goes, "Wombo, wake up!" And what you hear is, as he's poking Wombo's tummy, you hear the snore, and then he goes to Marcia, wake up! So like, and he's poking them all in the tummy, and he goes, "Oh my goodness, you've heard of an orchestra? I've got my own snorchestra." And then he plays this song. We did the Blue Danube, and my lovely sound engineer took samples of all the snores from Keith and me doing snores, and you hear, Blue Danube, yeah, and it's really, it still makes me laugh when I hear it. It's just so much fun. So Blinky Bill's Snorchestra is very funny.
That's what we need more of, honestly. You two should have never stopped making. I don't even know how it works, but it's like you should definitely do more, even if it's not like an animated thing. It definitely as part of like an album. I'd love to hear more of that because it's so. Because that's the thing. You don't need to see it visually to feel nostalgic. Like just even the voices itself, like you just doing the voice, it's just nostalgic enough to be like, "Oh, it's Blinky." Oh.
Yeah. And it's good for us, nostalgia is good for us. Because they've done experiments where they put some old men in an apartment for, 3 months, and they gave them the daily paper from 50 years ago, and they showed them only shows on the TV that were on TV 50 years ago, and their food and everything was 50 years ago. And their blood pressure went right down to the age of a young person. Their arthritis cleared up. Everything sort of got better. They sort of went back to the health they had when they were younger. So it is really lovely to go back to those early years. And what's happening for me, and this is a lovely surprise, because there was a new Blinky, when I go into schools now with little children, they say, "Oh, I know Blinky Bill." And I say, "Oh, you know the new one, do you?" And they go, "No, Mum and Dad showed me the other one." So all of my files are showing their children Yoram Gross's Blinky Bill, which is lovely. So there's a whole new way.
It's like, how do I get Ryan Quanton to come with me? Just in case.
So I had nothing to do with the new one, and neither did Keith.
Shameful they didn't get you and Keith back for at least something.
No, well, the drawing was different. So, yeah, I
okay.
The one that looked like Blinky.
Yeah, no. It is still a Blinky Bill film, so it's like, they had a missed opportunity.
Yeah, but anyway, look, we've got the old one, and I still have all those connections, which is just so special, and it's lovely talking to you and knowing that meant so much to you back then, because when I meet my Blinker-philes, I say, look, you need to know I was at that microphone and I was putting so much love into every word, even though it was the first time I saw that sentence and we were all talking to each other in 10 characters. I was loving you through that microphone because as a mum and as a teacher, I was visualizing all the millions of children running home, jumping on the couch, turning on Blinky, on Saturday morning or 4:30 in the afternoon. And, and a lot of them had troubles at home, and they had, maybe illnesses, or, life was tough for some of them. And he just took them out of that for half an hour into Green Patch, and they were okay. So how special.
How special, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so humbling to have you on. Before we, because I think we'll wrap up soon, but before we do, I would love to hear what's happening for you right now, and if there's anything we could expect in the future.
Well, I'm going to still continue with my to speak at conferences and special events. I just spoke to a whole room full of beautiful women putting on a Flourishing in Life half-day session, which was wonderful, and everybody fell back in love with their life and fell back in love with the word and their authorship. So when they wake up every morning, they're going to get those seconds and they're going to be the author and make up who they're going to actually be each day. Like Blinky Bill does, I make up who I'm going to be every day. I dress myself in the shower with my purpose, which is to be an irresistible invitation to fully participate in life. 10 words. So every sentence, every conversation is a beautiful invitation into life. So all those women just left on fire the other day. I'll be continuing that. I'll be doing more recordings. I'm going to be writing a children's book, and I'm going to be doing a series of podcasts with my younger son, who does podcasting as well, and capture lots of stories from my life. So there's all that to look forward to. So there won't be enough hours in the day. I'll just have to stay awake 24 hours every day.
Well, we'll get to see Blinky around every day for 24 hours. I'd love to, and that's what I really mean it. Like, I hope, like, there's at some point in the future, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen or not, but I'd love to see another way for you and Keith to reignite and bring the characters back, and whether it's for like a song or an album or in any kind of side project that someone out there would be just like who would have that kind of passion. Really bring it. I'd love to see something where we have all of like an open podcast where all of the Blinkophiles around Australia could just share their memories. Wouldn't that be fantastic? And we just have this ginormous panel session, and they just come on and you press the button. Yeah, here's Sam up in Darwin. What's your memory? And then we can give the backstory to that. Or wouldn't that be lovely? It would. We definitely got to bring Keith Scott back on. You two together on the show, that's what we need to do again. We really should do that and just have like a word, just reading a script or something. It would be so nostalgic.
That would be so much fun. Yeah, that would be excellent. And the funny thing was, we'd read the script, as I say, hadn't seen it before, read that. Then they used to do all of the drawings of the cells by hand. All painted by hand. And then, 6 months later, we'd see the finished episode, and then Keith and I would do all the post-syncing. Because you've got a script, and Blinky's going, oh, look at that down there. And then it says, now A-H-H-H-H. Now, you don't know whether he's going, isn't that beautiful? Or, I've lost my footing and I'm falling down the cliff. You don't quite know. So when you watch the finished thing, then you can see what actually happened. And it's so exhausting because you do a lot of physical reactions where you're falling down cliffs, you're in a waterfall and you're drowning and it's like, help! And all of that sort of stuff. Now I'm going to choke. Or spinning around on a clothesline, And so it's so much fun doing the post-syncing. And Keith and I could, share with all of our Blinkophiles all those sort of backstories, which are very, very funny. So that's something to come up with, guys. How are you going to do that?
We are
Have a
gonna
giant hookup with all the big five.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think when the particularly when the film, because next year the film will turn 35, and that was the first time Blinky came to cinema. Definitely should have a script read or something of you and Keith from the show. Just whether it's the original script of the film, anything that was written originally for the film and then was cut or anything like that. I don't know what it is. I'm not assuming, but like it would be great to actually have a read through of the characters that you and Keith played together. Because obviously, and to think that, and that's the thing as well. Like before we wrap up, to think that there were so many characters we remember growing up that were just voiced by two people, only two, you and Keith Scott. It's just unbelievable.
And you know what? Yoram's first movie, he didn't realize until somebody wrote his biography that that was the story of Yoram's life, because Yoram was a Polish Jew escaping the Nazis in the Second World War as a little boy with his brother, and his dad was killed, and then they couldn't find his mum. And so he wrote the Blinky movie, but he didn't realize he was actually writing his own story until the author who was writing the book sort of drew that out of him. So that's what's behind that movie. But his son, Guy, wrote a really fabulous movie that I'd love all of the people watching this to watch at Christmas time, and it's Blinky Bill's White Christmas. And it's a really nice movie. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing that one. It's lovely. And it's great story and lots of interesting characters and just beautifully done. And that was the final project for Blinky Bill. So that's a lovely thing to watch. That might be the thing to actually draw everybody together at a Christmas giant podcast. And
I know, and then just have someone coming in doing the Christina Anu song, like "It's Christmas in Australia."
Well done. That's beautifully sung.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I also do song covers as well, so I do a whole mix of stuff on my channel.
Well, look,
I think that's the beauty of it, Robyn. I think what you guys do is inspiring another generation. Like, it's still alive, and I'm living proof, and so is Moses, and so is so many other people.
Yes, that's what I love, meeting you and seeing you express yourself now based on a relationship that you had with our characters way back when. And I think that, it's Christina Anu, that lovely song was written by Guy Gross, and Yoram's son wrote all the music for all of his productions from the age of 17. So I met Guy when he was just a young teenager, and he's now an award-winning composer and writes film themes, and it's just lovely to see where Guy...
Wrote the iconic Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Let's not forget, a part of Australian culture now.
Yes. So, what a lovely journey and an arc that has been too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been lovely. It's just been lovely speaking to you. Thank you for your listening and for your time and your interest.
And thank you so much. And can I just say thank you so much for your stories. Like, I think they're probably some of the most beautifully told and emotional. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I nearly cried when you were talking about a few of them earlier, because it's some of the most, I mean, it should be something that feels personal, but it just feels so, it gives purpose of, like, we don't need all this money. We don't need all of this terrible decisions in our life. We just need a little bit of love. That's all we need.
Yeah, make the choice.
And the fact that you just give that to so many people without even having to, you don't even have to do much. All it is, it's just bringing out that little Blinky voice, and then everything changes.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
just saying yes, love, yes to connection, yes. Of course, I want to say a few words to you. Of course, yes. Be a yes to love.
Yes to love. We need more love in the world. We definitely do. And Blinky's the right person to bring love to the world.
Yeah, and yes to gum leaf smoothies.
Gum leaf smoothies. Well, I think it's lunchtime already. We might as well go up and get some gum leaves to eat. But yeah, thank you, thank you so much.
What's going on here?
Sorry, Moses.
Since when is it lunchtime for you? It's nearly 4. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, it's lunchtime for koalas and lions.
Oh my god.
It's lunchtime somewhere.
It's somewhere. No, in Perth. I'll lie and say this is in Perth, even though it's in Melbourne. Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you so much, Robyn.
Yeah, pleasure.
For kindly taking the time to chat with us, and also thank you to all of our viewers for listening to this wonderful episode today. If you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and also you can listen to this episode on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, etc. Yeah, this is by the way, we stream this everywhere, so it's like not just a YouTube thing. So we always want to keep our guests very active as well, just to give them a platform. And I think you've given such a wonderful interview today, and I hope more and more of my viewers, most of them in the States, will know who you are and become fans of your work as well.
Thank you. That's really lovely. Thank you. Yeah.
And before we wrap up, Robyn, would you like to actually, you know what, before we wrap up, what kind of advice would you give to anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Right. What I usually say when people say, I want to do voiceovers, I always say you have to want to do this so badly that you'll die if you don't do it. So you don't do voiceovers to make money. You don't do voiceovers to become famous. You don't do voiceovers for any other reason other than you'll die if you don't connect with people and tell stories and do good with your voice, because you're actually working for businesses often selling their products. So if you want to do that more than anything, then I recommend you to go. And the best way to start is to go and donate your services at a community radio station so that you can actually get to know your voice, because most people don't like listening to their own voice. And you'll be doing a service for the community at the same time, because you'll be donating your services, and you'll find whether you like this world or whether you don't like this world. But if you crack through that, then there's lots of steps to go where you make your own demo tape, and then you have to find an agent. And life in our world is changing a lot. So just a little proviso there, because AI has now stepped in, and some people's voices are being copied. So there's probably a short period of time where you may get some new voices entering into our business, but I don't know how long that will continue. So just a word of warning. But if you want to do it, you can bring great pleasure and joy to people, and do your own productions. That's the best way to have ownership. And in this world with all the IT as it is, that's a possibility now, where you don't have to rely on other production companies who may actually copy your voice. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, with the rise of AI, this gives more of a reason for people to become voice actors in today's world, to stop that from happening.
Because nobody can understand the nuances. When Blinky is talking to a child, a Make-A-Wish child on the phone, I defy any AI copycat to say what I'm going to say through Blinky's heart and through his voice. That's a sacred connection. AI can't do that.
No,
AI
they can't
learn, it can't understand, it can't empathize with that child, it can't hear the breathing and know how to deliver a message so that child will feel comforted. So human beings win. So I'm going to just on this soapbox now and just say, human beings rule, not AI.
Thank you so much for saying that. And now, before we wrap up, would you like to do the sign off for us, Robyn?
Yep. Well, this is Blinky Bill, the mischievous koala. And I just want to say, wow, it's been absolutely awesome being in this podcast with Joey and Moses and with all of you. And thank you for listening for so long, because my voice coach, Robyn, goes on and on and on. And I know, because I have to live inside her. But listen, every day when you wake up, you're going to promise me, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to whisper, I am extraordinary. Will you promise you'll do that? Oh, I know you're nodding. Anyway, you keep on watching my show on YouTube and pass it on to any little ones in your life, because, you know, we have such good adventures and we understand mateship and we understand friendship and we understand loyalty. So that's worth passing on. So keep on being extraordinary because, well, you may as well. Bye-bye.
Oh, this podcast has been extraordinary. Thank you so much, Robyn.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.